All right. Welcome to the Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, Sean Kelly. I'm here with my co-host, Charlie Cavalier, and our guest today, Howie Mandel. How we doing?
When you say how are we doing, do you want me to speak for everyone? I'm doing good.
For you.
Yes. So I am doing well, and
Okay.
I would assume you guys are doing well. So we are doing fantastic.
Perfect. You're doing well, Charlie?
I'm doing very well. You can speak for all of us.
Okay. I
Thank
didn't
you.
want to leave you out of it.
I feel like I'm a spokesmodel for you guys now.
You might be. So I don't think we need an intro on you. Normally we do that for
I think
guests.
it's too late.
Yeah.
Didn't you just say I'm here with Howie Mandel? Is that not considered the intro?
I would say that's sufficient, yes.
It's enough.
All right.
Enough. Less is more.
Less is more.
It's the bare minimum.
Not in NFTs, though.
More is more.
More is more.
More is more for sure in that situation.
Okay.
All right. So I want to start off with a topic that is interesting because I used to have an afro, and when I was researching you, I saw you had an afro.
I don't know. I have curly hair and it was big. I don't know if I had an afro. I don't think I had an afro.
Okay.
I don't know if you could tell from here, but I'm white. So it wasn't an afro.
Fair enough.
It was a Jufro.
And
Jufro.
is it true you decided to shave your hair voluntarily?
Yeah. Do people shave against their will? I know you that Manscaped is one of the sponsors here on your program, and I would imagine that they wouldn't even condone people being shaved involuntarily. But yes, so I got a part in a movie, and so I shaved my head for it, and then when it was shaved, I felt clean. And I've been very open about my mental health, and I have OCD, and one of the many issues that I deal with is mysophobia, which is a fear of germs. And though I'm okay right now, I'm medicated. But when I'm not medicated, it's really tough. But it feels clean. I would imagine, and if anybody's listening, if you have hair, the first thing that kind of feels like maybe you should go take a shower is your hair gets a little greasy, or that's so. Without that, I feel clean. So I decided to, and my wife said I looked very sexy.
Whoa.
She never, yeah, that's, and she never said that. I spent 3.5 decades, 4 decades with hair. She never said that. And then in my 40s, I shaved, and then I was sexy.
Interesting. I feel like not a lot of guys can pull off the bald look. Do you think you could pull it
No
off?
way could I pull that off.
I don't know that anybody can't. Why? Like, what do you think? Why would you think you can't pull it off?
Because what if your head's uneven and you got some dents and it just doesn't look appealing to women?
First of all, I think that we'll let the women decide. You shouldn't decide.
Right.
And do you know that you have dents?
I don't. My dad said he dropped me a few times when I was a baby, so I'm not positive.
Okay. But even there's nothing wrong with dents. I don't think there's something wrong. It makes you look like I think it's good to have some
Imperfections?
right. It makes you unique and original. And what was fun about shaving my head is I think everybody should do it at least once. You don't have to keep it. But I had so much fun with the art. Like I created like different shapes. I sometimes do it with my face too, but I created first I just went down the middle, and then I was Princess Leia for a couple of minutes, and then I was then I made like little horns, and then I made I just kept a mullet and nothing else, and then I do that with my face too. I have you can probably look it up online, and your editor could put it in. But when I was in my 20s, I wanted a mustache. But I again, being a germaphobe, I didn't want to. When here I am with a beard now, but I was afraid of getting food in it and stuff in it. Mm-hmm. So I said, like, who made the rule that it's got to be under your nose and above your mouth? So I grew a mustache on the side of my face, perfectly coiffed, and had it for about a year. I have an 8x10 of me like that.
Wow.
It's online. If you go Howie Mandel's mustache, Google that, you could see me with that. And what was kind of interesting about it is at the time I was in show business, I would go and do appearances on talk shows, and more than not, people wouldn't even ask me what that was. So it was just this weird mole. They thought.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to see a photo of that.
Your hair grows pretty fast. I think you could give it a go, Sean.
The baldness?
Yeah, I think you could try it.
You know what? For Howie, I'll do it. I'll send you a photo and I will do it.
Why wouldn't you do it?
I'm down to try new
It's a scary
things.
thing to jump off the bridge and do. I feel like for
Well,
most
first
people,
of all, stay on the ground. Do not jump off a bridge and shave at the same time. That's dangerous. And number two, it's hair. It grows back. I'm not saying let's see what it's like to cut off your leg. It's just your hair.
Right.
And hair comes back. So even if you don't like the way you look, it takes like 5 days to at least, I don't know if that's a good haircut, but it's to just return.
Right.
How often do you shave?
Say once every week or two.
Oh, just once a week?
Yeah, is that not enough?
For me, it is. Well, I would imagine you look clean shaven. Are you not clean shaven?
I'm pretty clean. I think about a week ago, yeah.
You're still clean shaven after a week?
Yeah.
I haven't shaved for 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
You guys are not. Well, I have to shave unless it'll look like a beard, I have to shave every day.
Wow.
I guess I got a lot more testosterone than you guys.
Ooh.
I can actually say that might not be true because we did the 10X thing recently. My testosterone was off the charts, which I was very happy about.
We did just get ours tested, yeah.
You got your testosterone? Where do you test that?
We did a blood test.
10X?
10X Health Systems, yeah.
And they told you?
Our testosterone, our vitamin levels, everything, yeah. Grant Cardone's company.
Right?
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
It was much more in depth than a normal blood test at your doctor, actually.
Yeah.
But you have information that you don't really need. Like, what do you do with that information?
From there, you see what you're deficient in, what you're lacking in, and then get
What
the
are you
supplements.
lacking in?
I had some vitamin deficiencies. That's about it. Nothing crazy.
I always do those. I'm concerned because I don't think I take good care of myself, so I always get an IV drip.
We haven't tried those yet.
You have never had an IV drip?
No.
I get them because I travel and I'm old, and I don't think I drink enough. I want to hydrate and get my vitamins, and I don't want to eat like good food.
Do you feel an instant difference when you take IV therapy?
No. Like, you mean in the minute? Like, ooh, I'm
Like
energized.
right after you unplug it, do you feel better?
No, not like if you drink like a Red Bull and then or a Celsius, whatever I'm drinking. That I feel like right after a coffee, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go. This must be, every time I drink a triple espresso, I go, oh, I gotta go. This is a lot of energy. And then, so I imagine that means that triple espresso is very healthy for you because it gives me such get up and go and energy. So it must be really, really good for me.
I'd have to agree there. I love my morning espressos.
You love your coffee, but you had to cut back.
I did.
Why?
They told me when we did the blood test I had to quit eating sugar so much.
Why?
My blood glucose was off the charts.
Or diabetic? Borderline diabetic?
Borderline diabetic. They said I'm luckily also making enough insulin that it's counteracting, but at some point that's not going to be the case anymore, and then I needed to quit eating sugar.
I think you need to shave your head.
I'm down. Let's do it.
I do it, will you do it?
Yes.
Do it on this episode. It'll go viral.
No.
Ooh,
I have Manscapes here.
Ariel would be pissed. Should we do it?
Why would you keep your hair just for a silly Disney character?
All right, we'll consider it.
Can we compromise with a buzz cut? Is that possible?
I'm not the boss of you.
I feel like we're playing Let's Make a Deal.
That was Monty Hall. I was on
I know.
Deal or
I
No
know.
Deal.
That's why we're saving that for later. But I feel like right now we're
Let's Make a
negotiating.
Deal?
Yeah.
I think it's more like Family Feud.
So you had mentioned that you went bald for a role. What
Yeah.
is the most extreme thing you've done to your body for any role?
I don't know that I did any movies that were of any note, but I did do a movie called Little Monsters with Fred Savage, and I didn't know what. In fact, that's the movie that eventually helped me make the decision not to do any more movies. I didn't do any more movies after that, and I got offered movies, but I don't like doing movies now.
Why?
Because the process, my favorite thing to do is stand up. because in the moment I can get a reaction. I'm in control. Or even if I'm out of control, it's up to me to get back that control. I control the narrative. I control the reaction. The reaction is there. If I go do a movie, you're lucky if they do a few pages a day in no particular order, and you're at the mercy of somebody else. You go do hi, will you come in here? Cut. Go into your trailer. We're going to get that from another angle. And I wait for 6 hours, and then I come out and it's the exact same scene from a different angle. They got a camera on the other side of the room, and I go, hey, can you come out here? Cut. Go into the trailer and wait. But to answer your question, I did a movie called Little Monsters. And I sat every day in, I think it was like 4 to 6 hours a day in makeup, where they put this, I'm sure special effects have advanced, because this was like 1986, but they put, what's it called? Rubber all over my face. I was a monster. I was a little monster. And I shot it in North Carolina in August, and it was 100 degrees. I would pass out a lot. I'd go to the hospital, and then and then every night they would just rip it off. My skin was seething and burning and ruined, and it was just the most uncomfortable, unhealthy existence. 4 months away from home, away from my kids, away from my wife, in North Carolina, wrapped in rubber. I guess that's what a penis feels like.
Oh man!
So I felt like such a dick. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So and then I just said, I don't know, and the movie didn't turn out that great. I think there are people who like it, but I just didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know why I got offered movies that were just really hard to do. And then it's just so much easier just to do TV, podcasts, stand-up comedy, ask somebody to open a case, do voiceovers for Saturday morning, sit at a table with a bunch of friends and go, I didn't like that song. That's what I do now.
I feel that. Did you ever turn down a movie role and then the movie blew up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you reveal the name of the movie?
Yeah.
Which one?
No. I think I got offered, there was a couple. I don't want to say, because then other people, I feel bad. I'll tell you why I feel bad. And I'll give you a little tidbit. One of my first acting things is a show called Saint Elsewhere, which is a dramatic series that aired in the 80s on NBC. And that's where Denzel Washington came out of, and a lot of other people that we know. And it apparently, I wasn't looking to do a drama. I was looking to do comedy. And I went in and met with the company, the production company, which was Mary Tyler Moore, the MTM, to go try to get myself on a sitcom, because I had kind of had some success as a stand-up comic. I did a young comedian special on HBO with me and Jerry Seinfeld and Richard Lewis and Harry Anderson. And I was selling tickets like crazy. And the natural progression was to do a sitcom. And when I went into the office, she goes, do you act? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't, but I don't know if I have that skill set. And she had me read this script, sides, one page, which was all this jargon that I didn't really understand what it was, science and medical terminology, which I thought, this isn't funny at all. But anyway, she said, you're very good. Come down the hall. And I went down the hall, and I went and read it again for who turned out to be, Bruce Paltrow, Gwyneth's dad, and a guy by the name of Mark Tinker, who was the boss's son who owned MTM. And they stopped me halfway through, and I figured I blew it. And this was on a Friday. And then then they called me and they said, come down and read that same thing for the network. I did on the Friday. And they said, we'll see you Monday. And I thought I was going to do another audition for this bad sitcom about science and medical jargon. And I got a job. And that turned out to be St. Elsewhere. And I started on that Monday, and I realized they had been shooting for 7 days. They didn't like what they were seeing, so they recast.
Wow.
And I'm a recast on that. I would talk about him because he actually ended up doing good. His name is David Paymer. I think he got nominated for an Academy Award for a movie he did with Billy Crystal called Mr. Saturday Night.
Wow.
But I also don't want to take anything away from anybody else.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yes, I have been offered movies that went on and did well, but I don't feel bad about it because it's not about, I don't know what that success means. To me, success is just waking up in the morning and doing something I enjoy. And even if you're in the biggest movie in the world or the biggest, that goes away. So that's so fleeting and means nothing and has no currency. It has nothing. But if 3 months of my life is shit because I'm on an island somewhere, away from my family, listening, walking into a room because they tell me to, and stepping on a piece of tape and then doing the same thing over and over 10 times, and then somebody edits it together. And a year later, somebody tells you, you're brilliant. Well, I don't understand why you're brilliant. It doesn't mean anything to me. It really doesn't. So
Interesting. So money has no role in success
money.
for you.
Money,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, I do well.
Yeah.
And I love business, and I like my entrepreneurial spirit outweighs my creative spirit. But what I was saying was, just because I'm in a hit movie doesn't mean I find ways to make money in other ways, and that kind of game, that's a game, and I like to play that game like you guys. I like to invest. I like to find things. I like, and create things that make money. That doesn't mean being a movie star is, you can make a lot of money being a movie star, but you can also make a lot of money being a comedian, being the host of a podcast. Can't you?
I think so. Kevin Hart's doing well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of future and a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. But speaking of money, let's talk Deal or No Deal, because that show's about money.
Right.
What's the most someone's won on Deal or No Deal?
$1 million.
Oh, someone actually won the $1 million?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really hard to give it away, but it took about 3 years to give away the first $1 million.
Wow.
Because people's greed and hope and fantasy, that's not the entrepreneurial spirit, outweighs reality. So the truth of the matter is, you had 1 out of 26 cases had $1 million in it. And we would have people all the time who'd come on, I'd interview them at the beginning, and they'd go, listen, I'm a single mother. I have 3 kids. I've never owned a home. We have no health insurance. They pick a case that they think the $1 million is in, and they open the first 6 cases, and it's still not revealed what is the $1 million. And the first offer comes in, and the banker gives you $50,000. And without any thought, any hesitation, they go, no deal. And that always killed me, because I would say, so where you live, assuming most of them didn't live in LA, for $50,000 is much more than a down payment on a house at that time, 2005, 2006. So you can live in a home, you can definitely buy health insurance, and you can invest and buy something that will make more money. But you, without any thought, are going no deal for a chance. I think and then people would ride it all the way down. You know how many people left with a penny, with 5 cents, with $1, just because, listen, you guys live in Vegas. Those buildings are not built because people are winning.
Yeah.
Facts.
What is the most frustrated you ever became with a contestant on Deal or No Deal?
That would have to be the thing that I just explained, and I will tell you, it's the very first, because I didn't know so I got offered Deal or No Deal, and I didn't want to do it. At that time, being a game show host was not considered an asset to a comedian. You know, when your currency is irony, the game show host was the punchline. Really, nobody. If you think about it, before 2005, no comedians. Years before that, the last comedian to host a game show was Groucho Marx, who did You Bet Your Life. But no comedians did it. Mm-hmm. And my wife told me to take the deal, and I didn't even understand what the show was. I mean, I got the game, but I didn't understand. I can show you in the other room that the presentation to me is just silly. Mm. And remember, there's no skill, there's no questions, there's no nothing. It's just, I said, how are they going to do an hour of me going, open the case? So when they told me that they wanted to do it, I thought, I'm going to be funny. This is a great place for me to showcase who I am and as a comedian, and I will try to be funny. The very first show, when I walked out, I'll never forget her. Her name is Karen Van. I've done 500 episodes. Karen Van, that's the lady that was single, a single mother with 3 kids, with no health insurance and no place to go. And, you know, I talked to her and I realized that there was this glaze that came over her because the average person doesn't do television, isn't surrounded by 12 cameras and all these lights and 300 people. And I think the first offer was something like $20,000, which I'm not a gambler. I would have said, okay, bye. I'm here for 5 minutes. I got 20 grand and let me figure out what I can do with that 20 grand. How can I turn that 20 grand into whatever it is, whatever I can. So when she went, no deal, I felt like I was, by being funny and being there, like this whole place was a distraction, and I could see her kids in the audience, and then I felt responsible. I had this empathy where I felt responsible for this person, and it also, which ended up informing my cadence and how I threw all the comedy by the wayside. And Deal or No Deal was the first place where I was just I didn't play a character, I didn't do stand-up. And I would say things like, Karen Van, the offer is, and I would talk to her like you talk to a child because I wanted her to really hear. The next offer is $30,000. Do you hear me? $30,000.
Yeah.
Before you answer, and I would tell her, you know, if you say no deal, you have to open another 4 cases. There's probably... You know, I don't know. I'd have to look at the board right now, but you possibly could open up $1 million case or 700. If you open up something that is 700,000 or more, the next offer is definitely going to go down. Mm-hmm. So, for whatever this is right now, think about this. This is a guarantee, or do you go for a chance? Deal or no deal? And, you know, it was always like, I just wanted, and it was so frustrating. Karen Van walked out with $5,000. Ooh. You know, and she'd been offered, I don't know what the top offer was, but she'd been offered. And then we did this reunion years later to past winners to see what they have done and what they did. And I think Karen got her breasts done.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so there's an investment. I think she made a mountain out of a molehill.
Wow.
Yeah.
I figured that would cost more than 5 Gs, but I'm not sure.
I don't
this
know.
This is 2005.
Okay.
But then, you know, it was a very successful show, and now a comedian hosting a game show is like a norm. You're welcome, Steve Harvey.
You paved the way.
I did.
Was performing on The Masked Singer the most nervous you have ever been?
No. Performing on The Masked Singer was not nerve-wracking as much as it was debilitating. I could not breathe. I could not see. And I went into it knowing I could not sing. Mm. So it was a big could not night. So I didn't realize how cumbersome. You know, I thought it would be funny. Mm-hmm. I have no aspirations to win. I'm not a singer. Mm. I've been a judge for many years.
Right.
And I've heard myself. And if I was on America's Got Talent as a singer, I don't think I would get, you know, 1 3 notes into whatever song I was singing without pushing a red button for myself. I can't stand myself in the shower. And so I had but I thought it was fun. They asked me, and then it sounds fun that you wear a costume.
Yeah.
You don't realize until you are, and a lot of people don't have this opportunity. And the word opportunity I'm using very loosely, to be trapped inside a giant lobster. It's really not, it's tough. It's tough.
I can relate a little bit. I was the high school mascot, and I had to wear a panther costume, and it was really hot in there. You jump up and down 2 times, and you're sweating.
Okay. So I had to sing I jumped up and down more times. And I don't know if a panther is hotter than a lobster. Because a panther, you have a skin and fur. I had a shell.
Okay.
I'm getting calls. Do you want to see who it is? I forgot to turn off my phone.
Let's see who it is.
It's my son,
Oh,
Alex Mandel. I'm going to tell him, Alex, I'm on a podcast right now. And so are you.
Okay.
What?
Oh, okay. I'll talk to you later.
But you're on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Hello.
is this the NFT son?
No, this my son-in-law's into NFTs. But have you bought NFTs, Alex?
I have in the past, yes.
Okay.
Very cool.
Nice.
That's all.
You got anything?
Does he want to buy more?
I'm in Topanga.
What did you say?
I might have bad service. I'm in Topanga.
He might have bad service because he's in. Remember the girl from Boy Meets
I was
World?
going to say how he's in the girl from Boy Meets World right now.
I don't know. That's how I took it. Bye. Say hi to her for me. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
He's doing well.
Moving on.
Okay.
I saw an interesting clip of you on the Joe Rogan podcast
Okay.
where you said you saw a UFO.
Yes.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yes. I was one myself.
Explain.
The first time I came over the border from Canada, I didn't have the right paperwork, or I wasn't really allowed to be here.
What about aliens from other planets?
Oh, yes, absolutely, no doubt.
Have you been one of those also, or just?
I kind of look with this head, with this shaved head, with this big shaved head. Maybe I don't know what they look like. I have seen a UFO. And I think it would be incredibly small-minded to think that in this universe and beyond what the naked eye can see, that we are the only living organisms. I think those people are crazy if they do not believe that. I don't think, just like people point fingers at people who see aliens as being crazy, I think the crazier people are the ones who don't believe they exist.
Would you go to space?
Yes.
What chances of your safety would have to be guaranteed for you to be willing to go to space? Like if there's a 10% chance that you're going to die, would you still go to space?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think that when you're given a seat on one of these Jeff Bezos or
Yeah.
I'd prefer a SpaceX
Elon.
ride, but yeah.
well, you know what? That's what I was going to say. Except the other day, did you watch the launch of the SpaceX? So I watched it, and then I was watching for less than 2 minutes when it exploded, and they said they considered that a success. And I went, well, okay, then I don't want a seat on that. If that was a successful flight.
Right.
Interesting.
Did you not see that?
I didn't see it.
Did you see that?
I did.
Did you see it blow up?
Yeah, I don't want to ride on that successful flight. I'd like
But
a
wasn't that the precursor to the manned flights to the moon?
Yes.
And it blew up.
Yeah.
In still my sight, it wasn't far enough away where I couldn't tell, or they could have made up a beautiful story. I saw it blow up. And I saw that with my own eyes, and I heard with my own ears that the SpaceX people said this is a success. So if I was lucky enough to get a seat on a SpaceX rocket ship to the moon, and they said, don't worry, Howie, it'll be a success. They just have different criteria for success than I do.
I wonder why they called it a success. Did it reach a certain point? Is that why it was successful?
When I watched the news, they said all they were hoping for was to clear the launch pad.
Okay. Interesting. They got some work to do.
They have a lot of work to do, and I think
Well, they cleared the launch pad.
success.
There you go.
I want to talk about what you were like in school,
Okay.
because I saw an article where you got expelled. I want to hear about that story. But were you
There's
like,
many stories about getting expelled. I got expelled from many schools.
ooh, let's dive into this. So you weren't a good kid in school.
I think I was a good kid. I think I have issues and biological issues that don't allow me to concentrate. And that's why I'm medicated right now and focus. And then I didn't have social skills to make friends, and I didn't really understand what I was doing. These stories right now are funny, but they were just one of the things. See, I got to give you a little bit of backstory. The first time, I didn't have a lot of friends, but the first time I'm aware of joining into laughter, and a really fun was my parents used to watch Candid Camera. Do you know what? It's like Punk'd,
Okay.
the precursor to Punk'd.
Got it.
Hidden camera prank show. And this was the first time that I didn't understand. My parents liked comedy and would listen to albums, but I had no point of reference to know what the stand-up even meant, or what, if they would tell a joke about their mother-in-law. I didn't even know what a mother-in-law was. I was too young and too uninformed to know what. But then on Sunday nights, they used to watch this prank show, and it was this, Alan Funt was the guy who created pranks. And he started on radio, apparently, even before my time. And then it became a television show, and then I used to watch this show with them. And it was kind of like this surprise party where he would explain to me what he was going to do. And it got exciting. Like he said, he was going to hire a receptionist to answer the phone. And he was going to tie a rope to the desk that had the phone. And the rope was going to go through the wall. And he would tell the receptionist, you cannot miss one phone call. And then he would leave the office. And every time the phone would ring and she would go to grab it, he would pull the rope from the other room. And the whole desk would fly across the room. And it would make me and my parents laugh. And that was a really good feeling. Mm-hmm. I liked that. That was funny. I understood what was happening. And it was my perception of what was happening was it's funny and entertaining and comfortable if you put somebody in an awkward position and you control that awkward position. I never understood that this was a television show, that you needed an audience. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have any friends. So I would do things all the time at school to kind of replicate this kind of action and with no show. So one example was I phoned in the Yellow Page. I didn't change my voice or anything. I was just a kid. Mm-hmm. I phoned and said, I would like to add 10 feet onto the west side of the library. Can you show up and give me an estimate at 3:00? Mm-hmm. And I said that because I knew that at 3:00 I would be in the math class and I could look down on the field. And I thought it was funny for me to watch this guy measuring when I'm the guy that called. There's no reason. Nobody wants an addition onto the library. That was my humor. Which was kind of ignorant is it probably would have been funny if I told five other people and said, guess what? At 3:00 you're going to see this guy in the field and he's going to be measuring. And I sent the guy in it. But I never did that, and I didn't have anybody to tell. So I would sit in class, and I would give my name to the guy who was measuring, and I would sit in class, and I'd see this guy out there with his clipboard and his measuring tapes, and then, which I thought was funny, and I wasn't really focusing on math, and then I'd see the principal or the vice principal walk out and talk to him, and then I saw the guy walk away, and then I saw the vice principal walk into the school, and before you knew it, there was an announcement, will Howard Mandel please come down to the office? And I would go down to the office and he would say, did you hire a construction company to put an addition onto the library? And very seriously, I would go, no, I actually was getting bids. I have not confirmed with anybody yet. And it was just that awkward discomfort was, I don't know, like was a drug to me. And he'd said, just wait right here. I'm going to call your parents. And I go, okay, great. And I sat there and they would call my parents. My parents would come in and he would explain to them that Howard had employed a construction company to give a bid on an addition to the library. And it was also funny for me just to watch my parents bite their lip. Like, I don't know what they were supposed to say. We told them never, ever put an addition onto the library. I don't know what they expected my parents to say.
It's hard to defend that
Yeah.
I can defend. I love that.
as a parent.
Oh, well.
It's a great story right now. You have to realize in the 60s, you know, and no kid, it became a rumor in school that I did it. So the thought of me was more of a just insane and out of my mind. Nobody really wanted to hang with me. You know, that in another school, this is before the movie Caddyshack, but I threw a chocolate bar into the swimming pool so that it would look like feces at the bottom of the pool, which I thought was kind of funny. I didn't tell anybody that because it was funny watching. I threw it in, or I put it in to wait to see if people noticed, you know, and people go, "Oh my God, somebody shit in the pool. Somebody shit in the pool." And then I would sit back and watch it spread throughout the school. And then there was an announcement, if anybody has any, you know, information about who did that. And at the end of the day, like there was like 200 kids looking at the pool and pointing at this floater in the bottom of the pool. And it was just a knee-jerk reaction, but I dived in and I came up with it in my mouth. And everybody just screamed and were disgusted with me, and I didn't have a friend for the rest of the year, and I was asked to leave that school.
Wow.
But I was always doing these are funny stories now, but in context, you have to remember, you know, this is high school. I'm 4'10", 4'11". I look like a little girl. My voice hadn't changed. I don't have any friends, and I'm doing these bizarre things. Like in retrospect, I look now, I go, "Oh, those are really funny. Why the fuck wouldn't I tell 10 other kids, watch this, I'm going to throw a chocolate bar in the pool." And it's fun. But just the fact that I did it on my own, just for my own. And it's now that I've been in therapy, you know, the thing was that most of us feel very uncomfortable and discomfort. And I felt I like to make other people feel awkward and uncomfortable and control that so that it made me feel good about my discomfort and awkwardness.
Interesting.
More than entertaining. But as it turns out, everything I was ever punished for, expelled for, gotten in trouble for is what I get paid for today.
Wow. The tables have turned.
I could definitely defend the addition on the library as a parent. The chocolate bar in the pool would be a little harder. Because with the library, you say, you know, I'm glad someone's taking the library seriously, using school funds for a good purpose. With the chocolate bar, you might have lost me at coming up with it in your mouth, right? Like that'd be a little hard to defend.
Well, I didn't get a date
Yeah.
for a long time.
Were you bullied in high school?
No, I don't think I was bullied. Well, if I was, it was my own. It was because I deserved it. Like it's not like anybody found me and decided to bully me, but I almost got. I was a fast runner, and people wanted to stay away because I was weird. Like I would do things like if I walked into the men's room and there were two people at the urinals, I would probably go in between them.
He was that guy?
Gosh, yeah.
I hated that guy in high school.
Yeah, and then they'd run after me. I'm going, I didn't, but I would make it like I didn't understand what was wrong.
So back then you weren't prescribed any of the medication?
No, nobody talked about mental health. I'm you know, and I wouldn't talk about it until I was in my 40s.
Wow.
I'm old, you know, and there's a stigma attached to mental health awareness. And I didn't want to be part of that. And I still feel that, except I know now it is really, and it's actually comforting to talk about because I know that I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, in my era, I'm probably much older than even your parents. In my era, there was just, the thought was if I was diagnosed with anything, I'd probably be locked away.
Yeah, I have severe anxiety, and I was so ashamed to even talk about it or tell anyone, to be honest. And it got to the point where I was collapsing on the floor. And that's when I knew I had to speak up. This is the real deal.
Well, I have anxiety, and I have collapsed, and I've been in the emergency room many times. And I have anxiety, I have depression, I have OCD. I think I'm winning.
Wow.
Over you.
Yeah, you got me beat. Actually, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I suffer from anxiety and depression at times, and it's something that needs to be talked about more often. I wish it was a more acceptable topic for men to openly speak about mental health, move forward together, and be able to feel comfortable, in their environment on social media, whatever it might be, to be able to have these discussions without fear of
not
ridicule.
just men, everybody.
Everyone for sure.
Humans.
Everyone for sure.
I always say we need to take care of our mental health the way we take care of our dental health.
Right.
Nobody has a problem going in and getting a checkup, when it comes to teeth, but not your head. And I think that's the answer to everything. I think if we were a mentally healthy society, a lot of the problems would be solved, and we'd be probably more productive. More people would be more productive and happy.
Right. Do you think taking medication like Xanax and antidepressants is the best way to fight mental health problems?
No, I think that getting help is the best way, and talking about it is the best way. I don't know, you're naming medications. I wouldn't name any particular. Everybody has a different makeup, and what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. And I just say that the first step is to talk about it, and to talk to friends, loved ones, caregivers, or whatever. And your medication may just be yoga. It may be working out. It may be meditation. It may be another kind of medication. And even if you do take a medication and you're prescribed a medication, your body biology is a continuous changing flow. So that I've been, as my age, and I was diagnosed in my 40s, whatever medication and levels of those medications that I have taken are not the same as when I started. So it's constantly changing. You can't say this pill or this is the answer to somebody else. But I will say there are always going to be answers, and it's a constant puzzle. That answer, you're not going to go to somebody and get the answer. You're going to go to somebody and start that journey toward your answer.
I love that.
Do you think social media has helped or hurt people with mental health issues talk about mental health, or really just in general be good or bad for people's mental health?
I think it's good and bad. I think more bad than good. I think that people's image of what normal or what they need to be in life is really curbed by what they see on social media, and what other people have, how other people look, and how people are responding to whatever they're putting up has a bigger impact than it needs to have. So you're probably healthier not being on social media. That being said, social media is probably what somebody's listening to right now, and this is a great little life preserver in allowing you to know you're not alone. So it is a great tool of communication and information, and commerce, but it is also a very scary, it's like electricity is really good, but if you wet your finger and you put it in the socket, it can be really dangerous.
Yeah. Back to the germophobia stuff. Is that something you also had as a child, or did that develop later?
Always. I cannot remember a time when I didn't have a crazy fear of dirt, germs, craziness. And so much so that, I wouldn't tie my shoe if my shoe came undone as a kid.
Wow.
And the laces touched the ground. Then I would rather walk like a person with special needs just to keep my shoe on than actually tie my shoe. And I would rather tell people that the other kids were making fun of me because I didn't know how to tie my shoe. I'd rather say, I don't know how to tie it, because I didn't want to touch the laces.
Wow. So can you even give your loved ones a hug or handshake or anything?
Now, but it was really tough. I when I had the wherewithal to afford, whatever it took to make myself comfortable, I actually built a guest house, which wasn't really a guest house. It was a place for me to go when somebody coughed.
Wow.
So when my kids were sick, I would go live in the other part of the house or the other house,
So you must have been terrified during COVID.
Well, COVID really screwed me up horribly, and it screwed a lot of people up. But listen, way before COVID, I've gotten help and medicated. COVID just sent my therapist and my my therapist into a whole new tax bracket, and my medication doubled. There is some comfort in, my issues rearing their ugly head, and then everybody around me saying, don't worry, you're not going to get sick, or I'm not sick, or I'm not, which is my whole life. Mm-hmm. But after 2020, there was nobody saying that anymore. So that kind of you can wake up out of a nightmare, the nightmare that I had given myself, but during COVID, you couldn't wake up out of a nightmare. Everybody was living in the nightmare. And, so that was really hard.
Yeah.
It still is really hard, but, life is hard.
It is.
I was fascinated with the games that you got set up for your charity, Howie's Games, to help N95 masks get delivered. How did that come into fruition? Because it's very out of the box, and as we both do a lot of game building and stuff like that. It was right in our wheelhouse, and I downloaded the app, kind of became infatuated with it. How did you come up with that idea, and how did that kind of get built out?
Well, I'm fascinated by technology. I have, my main fuel is curiosity. I'm still crazy. I'm as curious as I was when I was 5 years old, and I always want to know what the next thing is. So I'm reaching out to game builders. I'm reaching out to technology people. I'm reaching out. That's what you're in my office now. We have holograms. These are just, I slide into people's DMs and go, what is this? How do I do that? And that's how the game technology, there was a guy that was building games, and I said, well, if people are going to come on, let's just, instead of putting money in my pocket right now, let's give it to the world. Maybe that was PPE, right? That's what that partnership was. The holograms are, I slid into the DMs from Proto Hologram, and I said, I just want to be part of this. I just want to be able to be in 9 places without going anywhere. As a germaphobe, a hologram company is key. I said, I'll do content. You don't even have to give me money. And then it turned out I ended up investing in the company. I sit on the board, and now their head office is in my real estate. So, and they're all over the world. But that's everything that I do is just based on curiosity.
Speaking of money, so you've made tons of money, obviously. I'm curious how you view money now that you've made a ton of it versus how you used to view it when you were broke. Do you still view it the same way?
The same. It doesn't change. You sold a company. Do you think of money differently now than you did?
Not yet. But I think there's a certain point where it's...
Where it's what?
Like, I think if once you make a certain amount of money,
yeah,
what else are you going to buy at that point?
It's not about buying. It's the value of the dollar, and one of my favorite philosophies on money, I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
I know you follow Gary Vee.
Yeah.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad said something to me which I always thought of. And he said, even if you're making minimum wage, or, the average person in North America figures they got to go to school, graduate, and get a good job. And I don't know what they consider a good job is, but if you have a diploma and you're able to get a job where you can make $100,000 a year, then the average person will go the first thing they'll do is they'll go buy a house for probably 3 times the value of whatever their paycheck is. They'll buy a house for $300,000, which means they're buying a debt of $200,000. And if they're buying a debt of $200,000, why are you doing that? Think of every dollar you make as an employee. And how can I make, even if I can make another penny on that dollar, if it's making me, instead of giving it away. And that's the game I like to play. The game I like to play is no matter how much you make, just means you have that many more employees. And how can each of those dollars, and I don't care if they're $100, $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, or $100 million, will mean you have 100 million employees. And how can each of those employees make you at least a penny more than their value each and every day? And that's what the fun for me is.
Interesting. What do you think of that?
I agree. I mean, I see money's a lot more of a time, purchaser than anything, right?
What do you mean?
So, I mean, I don't see really a lot of value in money other than money frees up time, right? It gives you more of your time back. It's the only finite thing we have. So the ability to do more stuff, have more time with your family, do more things that you enjoy while still not suffering financially, to me, that is the ultimate goal when any sort of money thing comes into perspective.
So it's kind of a different, it's how you look at it. So if the dollar is your employee, then you don't have, before you have an employee, you have you. So if your dollar can work for you in an investment, and even if that's real estate, like if you move into, instead of buying that house for $300,000, why don't you buy a duplex for $300,000 in a place that is a little less than you'd want to do, so that you can charge rent to somebody in that duplex, and then you don't have any mortgage because that rent is paying that mortgage. That's the first thing. Or you can make an investment in something, and whether that something is an NFT or whatever it is, so that can sell for more, and it sits on a market, or that's growing, or it's a stock, or it's whatever it is. Everything's an investment. And the more employees you have working for you, if you have 100 million employees or 1 million employees working for you, it doesn't matter that each of those employees is only making 2 cents a week, but you have 100 million people making 100 million employees making 2 cents a week. That's pretty valuable. So how can I make sure I'm not wasting any dollar I make? And that's what I like to do.
Do you remember what your first investment was?
Yeah. So my first investment was, I had the first time I accumulated $10,000. I had $10,000 or no, $5,000. I had $5,600 in the bank, and I bought. My wife was mad at me at the time, but I didn't trust show business. You know what I mean? You get a lot of, for what you do, to show up someplace on a talk show, even getting scale, I was getting $200 to show up and talk for 5 minutes. So I had $5,600. I bought a $5,000 term deposit at the time, which was paying something like 12%. And it was a 10-year term deposit.
Wow.
So, and then we had $600 in the bank. I remember my wife was mad at me. I said, but I'm guaranteed I always have that $5,000, and I'm guaranteed I'm going to make $750 a year. Guaranteed. So now I have $600. I'm going to go out and try to, cover our rent every month. I can do that. I can go do spots at the Comedy Store. I was getting like $35 a spot, and I can go do that. But that's put away, and I just want to keep accumulating things that will make me money without me showing up. I just want that. So that was the first investment I made, was a term deposit.
Interesting. You've been with your wife for over 40 years. That's a really long time.
Maybe that's the first investment I made.
In your wife?
Yes.
So she's been with you through everything.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. What do you think about the current dating culture where people are just hooking up left and right with whoever, and they're not really looking for a long-term relationship?
I respect that. I don't know that a long-term relationship is for everyone. I don't think having kids is for everyone. I think that you need to do what you need to do, and you should do, and you shouldn't judge, and so that's how I make a living. But I think that as I get older, I realize how vast our world is in points of view, and I think the problem is that when you don't realize that, when a big portion of people, because of social media, try to be like others, try to look like others, try to be like others, try to earn like others, try to and I think if you are content in who you are and what you need and what you want, I think that that's success. Success is contentment. People ask me, how do you make it? And they're usually asking me, how do you make it in show business or in comedy? And for me, April 19th, 1977 is the day I made it. I got dared to go on stage and in Toronto, Canada. And I found this acceptance. I found this laughter. I found this place that I wanted to show up a couple of times a week. I found something that was exciting, that when I woke up in the morning, it's something I wanted to do. I think most people are going through life kind of, unhappily. They talk about Wednesday as being hump day. They're going halfway through the get over the humps of showing up every day, doing whatever it is they do because they have to pay the rent. And then they get to the weekend, and it's not that anything great is going to happen. They just don't have to do the shit that they're doing all week.
Right.
And I think that if you can find something in life that makes you happy, that you look forward to, that just that one thing, and it's not even about making money, that's making it. And even if you think you're going to do something that, especially in social media, that is going to make you famous. I don't know what fame is. Fame is a bunch of people kind of know your name. Remember, all those people, including you, that know your name are going to die. We're all going to die, So it really doesn't mean anything, I could tell my grandchildren, they were the most famous people in the 20s, in the 30s. You couldn't be any bigger than the Beatles. I don't know if you even understand how big the Beatles were because you're only 26. Do you?
I've heard of them.
But you know who they are.
Yeah.
But nobody moved the needle more than the Beatles. When the Beatles came out, just because everybody watched the Ed Sullivan Show at that time, like the world, 100 million people tuned in to like Elvis or the Beatles when they were on. Everybody in the world started wearing their hair like them, dressing like them. And that's all that was on the radio. That's all the music we heard. This is before streaming. Now with streaming, you don't really have top 40 anymore because all of us are kind of siloed into whatever we want to download and whatever we want to. We create our own worlds now. Our world is not as... We have access to the entire world, but we're very siloed. I can talk about comedy. I have so many friends that can play arenas now all over the world that the average person on the street could not even know their name. There wasn't a time when I was coming up in comedy where you could have somebody that would play an arena and not everybody knew their name. Everybody knew their name. That's how you were able to sell. But now you can garner enough of an audience where you could sell out or be the number one streaming song. And there's a huge swath of the world that doesn't even know who you are.
Yeah, with the TikTokers.
Everybody, TikTok is one of them. So you can have, I have almost 11 million followers on TikTok. 99% of the people who know who I am are not on TikTok. They're older. Those are that TikTok audience is a specific audience. The NFT audience is a specific audience. And we're really much more siloed than we ever were. I forget what the question was. It's so siloed.
Yeah, I don't remember the question.
We'll pivot. I'm surprised to hear you take such a strong stance on the Beatles because I read that you're a huge Stones fan.
I am.
So if you could go back in time to, let's say, 17-year-old Howie, you can go to either a Beatles concert or a Stones concert. Where are you going?
Well, I like the Stones personally. I would have gone to I will go to a Stones concert, and I go to every Stones. All I'm saying is that unlike the Stones did not change the world the way the Beatles did. The Beatles had an amazing effect. As somebody who was alive when they made their first appearance on I remember my grandfather going, "What do you go get a haircut? You look like a Beatle." You know, the Stones were just great music. Something there it goes. Their background went off. Oh. Did you hire Kenny?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, the thing is that the Beatles had a much bigger change on pop culture than the Stones were just hugely famous and great, and I love them. The Beatles had a big change on pop culture, much bigger. There's not even a comparison.
Right.
The longevity the Stones had was unparalleled, though. I remember my parents going to a Stones concert in Sacramento in like the 90s or something.
Well, the fact that the Stones are still together and the Beatles broke up, there's no more. But nobody had that. It's kind of like, I can't imagine, I can't think of in my lifetime or even before a pop icon changing the way. I think the last time that something else changed like that, I mean, it's going to sound silly, and it is silly now, but I think Madonna kind of changed the way young girls were dressing and presenting themselves. She was right. She was kind of that. I mean, you guys are
I've heard of her,
too young.
I wasn't alive for it, but yes, I've heard of the movement. And that actually brings up another question. Did Madonna or Michael Jackson have more of an impact in the 80s on pop culture?
I think Madonna probably had more of an impact on pop culture. I think that Michael Jackson was a bigger star, a bigger international star, because his style and what he did could not be replicated by others. Whereas Madonna was I remember, it sounds silly now, but she came out in it was shocking that she was wearing what looked like lingerie on stage. And then that became the fashion model for young girls everywhere. I don't remember everybody dressing like Michael Jackson. I don't know that you wanted to, but you wanted to listen to his music and you wanted to go to his concerts. But there are people that that show up on the scene and change the way, now it's the Kardashians. I think that a lot of people not only watch and worship the Kardashians, they want to be a Kardashian. And if you look online, a lot of young girls, you go, oh, that's kind of like, she kind of looks like Kim, and they're getting surgically changed to look like that. So not since the Beatles, not since Madonna, and now the Kardashians are creating what is an accepted look for females today on Instagram.
100%. I see that.
Yeah, it makes sense. And, it makes me wonder, because you've enjoyed success, not at the SpaceX level, across a multitude of generations.
You don't know. I could explode right now.
Well, if that's your definition of success, please don't. Can we leave before you do? Okay. Is there a guiding principle that you think has applied to, you in the 60s, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and now, in 2023 with 11 million followers on TikTok? Is there just like a single fact that you find true across all of these generations?
A fact? For me personally, it's always been curiosity. I think that when people are young, and that's what becomes of pop culture, people are curious. And that's probably how you found NFTs. You're online and you see, I got into this game and I get into this art and I get into that. Oh, that's amazing. I want to create something like that. I want to do something like that. I want to get involved, and you know what's going on in your world and you're curious. And this is the music I like, and these are the concerts I like to attend, and this is the music I like to download. This is also, these are the kicks that I like. This is the way I like to dress. This is the way I like to look. I find that most people, having surpassed that age, that most people get to an age where, that can become tiresome, where they don't give a shit about what people are wearing, what people are listening to, what people are playing. And that could be your parents. And then you get to an age where you go, oh, that's not music. When I was a kid, that was music. Or you want to play a good game, or that's not art. The Mona Lisa's art. Go to the Louvre. What are you looking at this NFT for? Why? What is a gorilla? Why is anybody paying that kind of money? But if you're curious, you stay with it, and you'll find that your parents or older people will find a style that they're comfortable with, a haircut that they're comfortable with, music that they're comfortable with, and you just stop. People just stop because it gets tiresome. And even artists just stop. The Rolling Stones don't really write new music anymore. And there was a time when they were incredibly prolific, and I couldn't wait for the new Rolling Stones song, or I couldn't wait for the new Beatles song, or I couldn't wait for everybody you love today is going to stop. Whether that's Post Malone or whatever, you'll stop, and then that will become, just because they're not interested anymore. We lose curiosity. And for me personally, I'm crazy curious. I sit with my kids all day online. I have FOMO. It's probably part of my neurosis and probably part of my anxiety of fearing that I'm missing out or missing something. So I'll go online and see there's 100 million clicks on something. And then I read the comments and they go, this is hysterical. And I'll say to my son who called, everybody's saying this is really funny and there's 100 million people who are enjoying it. And I'll be honest with you, Alex, I don't get it. Tell me why this is funny. What are they enjoying? How is that funny? What is that? And I'm fascinated by why is that drawing an audience? I come from, before I was in show business, retail. I want to be able to, we were talking before this about the Fire Festival. I'm amazed at somebody who can garner, there isn't a person alive that doesn't want to garner a ton of interest for whatever thing they're doing. Right? You want, whether you open up a deli, you want everybody to talk about your deli. You want everybody to show up at your deli. Like, why are people attracted to this? Why is everybody interested in Mr. Beast's burgers? Why is that over, anything else more than Burger King at this point? So why? And I keep asking why and how. And as long as I ask those questions, and it's just for my own personal interest, I seem to be continued to be invited to the party. And that's okay. That's an effect, after effect of whoever I am and whatever I do. But more importantly, I wake up and I want to know. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to know, to be content with what you know, what you have, and what you're interested in. But I want to hear the new music. I want to see the new game. I want to know the new technology. I want to see what people are trading. I want to see the new currency. I want to know what the new art form is. I just am interested. So that's just who I am.
Right.
But that's probably as a result of my mental health issues.
Interesting. So you're using it more as a benefit then, because your curiosity for learning has kept you relevant in various industries.
It's a coping skill. It's not a benefit. Listen, if my mental health issues are a gift, I would like to re-gift and give them away because they cause me more. I'm up all night looking at everything. And I'm afraid I won't know, and that the world's moving on without me.
Wow.
And so I look at everything and I'm interested in everything and I want to know why this is working, or who you are, who are you and how did you get into this, and how did you sell your company? I asked you a lot of personal questions going into this, uncomfortable questions. And I realized, I walk away always when I'm with my family and they go, you asked that? I go, is that too much? Is that... but I'm just really curious, really interested.
And were you like that in school too, when you were learning in school?
More interested in things not the things that they were teaching me, because it a lot of the things that were in, I don't have a GED, and I wanted one. I would like education, but I like learning things that I'm interested in, and kind of trying to understand how they apply to whatever my life is and what they're doing. I like making people laugh. I want to know why 100 million people are clicking on this. I like art. I want to know why these NFTs selling here are worth more than this.
Right.
Why is that? I wanted to understand. I ran to Paris to go to the Louvre to see Mona Lisa. That was one of the biggest conundrums of my life. Have you ever seen the Mona Lisa?
No, how much is it worth?
Well, it's priceless. I don't know what it's worth, but it's you look at it, you go, if this was invented today and this was an NFT and somebody wanted to sell it wouldn't sell. So it's amazing. What I'm realizing is we create markets.
Right.
We create value. It's all bullshit. Everything is bullshit. Value is bullshit.
Wow.
It is.
It's a bold statement.
But it is. You have a cotton T-shirt, a black cotton T-shirt, and you go to Old Navy, and you could buy that for a 3-pack for $15. Mm-hmm. If you write Versace on it or Calvin Klein on the same cotton T-shirt, all of a sudden we've said that logo, that NFT, is worth 10 times the value. And it's because people believe that.
Wow.
Right? You have a sneaker and you put a swish on it, it's worth more than a sneaker with an upside down swish on it.
You can attest
The
to
upside
that.
down swish is actually worth more.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
Because you're right, because value is all bullshit. And
But we create value.
Yeah.
One day somebody's going to dig this up, whatever we're doing, and they're going to dig up your sneakers, and you're going to go, this is how they traded. This is it's what was worth something 200 years ago has no value today. And look at an NFT today, what somebody is paying for it didn't even exist 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's garnered all this interest now. And what will garner interest tomorrow may not even be something that I can articulate right now. And we create it. So and that's what I find fascinating. How do we create? I want to create value. I want to create value in something funny. I want to create value in something entertaining. I just want to create things that you're interested in partaking in. Whether you're buying it, listening to it, watching it, just looking at it. And I find humanity incredibly curious, incredibly interesting. And because I feel so out of control, I want to see how much control I can have while I'm here in kind of navigating even what you look at.
Interesting. Wow.
I read an article that said...
I've read articles too.
Well, this one said you have 4 secret talents.
Whoa.
And you were unwilling to share them with the article that was being written at the time. Is this a thing? Or
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I said. I probably said I have 4 secret talents, just that they would say, what are they? And they're secret.
And then your answer was, yes, they're secret for a reason.
Yes. I don't know that I have. I would imagine I have much more than that to share, but I don't know what they are. I'm finding them out as I go along in life. I didn't know I can do that. Look at what you guys did. Look what you're doing. That's a secret talent. If somebody told you said you're 26?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were 15 years old, what were you doing?
I was a high school stoner.
Okay. So if somebody told you that you were going to, on the internet, allow people to trade images just through your little site, and you were going to be able to create a generational wealth from that. As a stoner, you probably would have. Yeah, fuck you.
I would have thought they were crazy. I mean, I literally became a millionaire in 10 minutes when I launched my NFT, and it just changed my life from there.
And did you go into that knowing to say, because that's how I feel about April 19th, 1977, walking on stage. And that was going to be a joke. That was a dare. I didn't aspire to be a comedian. I didn't think I was going to be in show business. I definitely didn't believe I'd live in California and be in a building. You're in my building here. You know, to think that day of putting a rubber glove on my head would change my life. Did you, when you said in 10 minutes, so you created an NFT?
So I launched an NFT project. Prior to that, I had no idea it would do well or not. So it could have flopped. I could have made nothing. Or if it sold out, I would make $2.4 million. It ended up selling out in 10 minutes. So I went from being broke, I think I had like 30K to my name at the time, to becoming a millionaire in 10 minutes. It was the craziest day of my life.
And that's not you when you did it, there was no thought. Yeah, this is something you want to do, right?
Yeah, I wanted
This
to
is
build
cool.
a cool community of basketball fans. That's how I met Charlie, met some great people. Gary even saw the project, reached out. So it's just been a journey.
Right. But it was something you're passionate about, right? You're basketball. You
Love
said
basketball.
Love basketball. And your first NFT was a basketball NFT or something?
Yep.
So that's what I'm telling people. If you find something, and it's not about becoming a millionaire. It's like, even if that day you would have put that up and made another 30 grand or not, you would be happy.
Yep.
You really would. It's about doing, that's making it. Making it isn't the money. Making it isn't the result. Making it isn't how many people know your name or know what you look like or know who you are or listen to this podcast. Making it is finding something where, today I'm going to put my NFT up. Today I'm going to show up on stage. Today I'm going to do my podcast. Today I'm going to go meet my hero. Today I'm going to go to Vegas for the first time in my life. Today I'm going to, and we don't have enough of that in our life. And what I want to do, as soon as we take the focus off of what other people are doing and how you are not like that other person, or how you have less than that other person, or how your thing is not as good as that other person, or you don't look like that other person, as soon as you can find something that you are passionate about, and you're just excited about doing it, whether anybody buys it, sees it, wants it, that's making it.
I love that. That's powerful.
I agree 1,000%. You just got to find your passion.
Man,
That's it. And then a lot of times those passions will flip. That's not why to do it. That's not why to be. Will flip into changing your life like your life changed. But you will not by trying to mimic
No.
what you think your image of what somebody else's success is.
Agreed. Yeah. And that's the problem with social media. I think a lot of people start comparing themselves and it gets kind of tricky, you know?
Well, everything social media is designed to, like a drug, to, like, the success is based on likes. The success is based on views.
Yeah.
The success is based on comments. The success is based, if you don't need any of that to feel okay, it's about feeling okay.
Right.
And in life, all I want is contentment. I want to have fun. I want those highs. Listen, I struggle without social media, without money, without a career. I struggle just to maintain every waking moment, just to feel content, not anxious, not scared, not sad, not worried. That's my whole life, is just to stay level, let alone, And then I realize from the outside, I've done okay. I have. And I'm still trying, even with money and even with whatever perceived success somebody thinks I have, I'm still feel like I'm, just walking a thin line on a wall that you can fall off of.
It's tricky, man. I was so scared of being judged on social media that I didn't post a video for 5 years. And then eventually I'm just like, screw this. I'm just going to do it. Started posting twice a day. And it's cool, man.
My friend Heidi Klum turned her comments off.
Really?
You can't comment on a Heidi Klum post.
Did she do that because she was getting hate?
Yeah. Yeah, and she's a beautiful, successful supermodel who does pretty well.
Why was she getting hate?
Because you just do. Humanity is, those are the people that are awoken by anything you post. Those are the things you'll notice. That's the fire. That's the flame. Everything else is fuel. Just somebody throws a match into that, and you gaslight.
Yeah.
And those are the people. That's anything you post. And if you're posting because you're proud of something, because you want to highlight something, most people are unhappy. Most people don't feel success, and the only way that they can feel better about themselves is by kicking you. And if they kick you, then they can go, well, that's stupid what you're doing, or that's stupid. If they can kick you, it gives them, it takes some of the self-doubt away from them if they can find something in you. So I think that it awakens. The trolls are the people that make the most noise on social media.
Right.
Negativity is you're nice is not going to get commented on.
Yeah.
That's nice. Congrats isn't going to get commented on. But you idiot, you stole it. That's like my idea. That's not even your idea. You look like an idiot.
I'll go viral,
yeah. Even if it doesn't go viral, it's just the thing that people, that's what it awakens. That's what, there wasn't a time when unhappiness and anxiety and darkness had a voice. It was, aside from, negative reviews in newspapers, which made more noise than this is a good movie, and the Inquirer and people like that, and all these rags that are gossip columnists. Now we're all gossip columnists. So everybody, every kid, everybody who's alone in their room not feeling good, if you're angry, go tell somebody else. Go tell them what you really think of their negativity.
That's true, man. All my most viewed videos are a lot of hate. You've noticed that too, right?
Yeah, we were talking about how controversy gets boosted in the algorithm the most, which is probably touching on what you said earlier, where social media is good and bad. And that's a bad part, is that it drives controversy and drives people apart. I would love to see the algorithm start boosting a little bit of unity.
Yeah.
It won't happen. It won't happen. That's not fuel. Think of fuel. Fuel burns. It's a good analogy, but it burns. If you can't light fuel, then you are not going to move forward. So people are moved forward that's why it's called gaslighting. That's why you want fuel. That's why you want to burn. And that's why maybe success is blowing shit up. It's just, that's the voice that's going to stand out. And as somebody who's a stand-up comic, I could stand in a room of thousands of people. If one person in my periphery is not laughing, that's all I notice. I can get a standing ovation, I can get a roar, but if one person up front is just hating it, and you can ask any comic, any performer, that's what they notice. And if you have a video that goes viral, but you get a couple of negatives, I think that's standing out to you too. You're not human if you're not.
Yeah, I'll get like 100 positive comments and 2 negative, and I'll think about the negative.
Or even if you get 100 negative comments, but the video has 5 million views, you still only have 100 people said something negative out of 5 million. That's such a small.
Right.
And those are the idiots who are not happy people. And then go click on their follows. That's somebody with probably 30 followers. It's not anybody of any that could really affect your life.
Right. So how do you deal with your haters on social media, and how do you deal with haters when you're performing comedy?
I don't.
You just ignore them?
No, I don't. I see them, but I don't know how to deal with them. I don't deal with them. I see them. It bothers me. It's hurtful. It's hard. But I can't say anything more. I don't know. I don't answer. I don't try to appease. I can't, but it hurts.
Interesting. You take the opposite approach. I feel like you tackle it head on.
I do. I do not enjoy confrontation, but I know that it exists, and I do kind of tackle it head on. Yeah. And that's had, good and bad things for me as well.
It's probably good. The one thing that people want on social media is engagement. So they're trying to engage.
Yeah.
So if you engage, but what happens is if you engage, you will gaslight it and it open it up. So if you engage, like I used to do that. Somebody used to say something terrible, and I used to go, I can't thank you enough, and then what I used to find that did is that engagement blew up a little bit and made them more mad, and then people who liked me would take on my fight. You know, people who, but I read it. I'm being honest. I read all of it.
Wow.
I know. It's not good. It's not healthy. I don't have any advice.
Yeah, it's tough to deal with, man. Well, Howie, it's been a pleasure. Any
I know.
closing comments, anything you want to promote?
No, I think it's been a pleasure. I think that I'm a pleasure.
Love
I really, and even if you weren't here, I would have pleasured myself. Oh, that didn't come off well. Do you want some of my merch?
Sure.
I have merch. See, I wear stuff. Howie Mandel Does Stuff is my podcast.
Awesome.
With my daughter, which I do, and that seems to be taking off. That's my highlight right now, is doing my podcast. Howie Mandel Does Stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, I do. I do love it. I don't have the same sponsors as you, but
No Manscaped?
I think at the beginning we had Manscaped. It was hard for me to talk about. I'm doing it with my daughter.
Right.
How do I talk about how do me and my daughter discuss Manscaped?
That's tricky.
But maybe they should. It is tricky. And she did a lot of the ad reads. So she was reading about manscaping her father, which is not, see?
Yeah,
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Though, Manscaped, if you're listening, I love the product, and I'd be happy to re-engage if you want to.
There we go.
But in the meantime, I got some, Rich, you want to give them merch?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll wear a shirt.
You wear stuff. You can
I'll wear
a
stuff.
a hoodie, or you tell us what you want, your sizes,
and
we'll get you stuff. It's not just a T-shirt with stuff. We have stuff.
You got more than
Oh, you got more than that? Oh, there you go.
All right.
Yeah, there's stuff.
Stuff.
Do you guys have merch?
Not yet. Coming soon. Coming soon. We got to get on your level. But yeah, it's been a blast, man.
merch.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah, I don't get like an NFT or anything.
We'll give you a
Yeah,
chibi.
we have a chibi dino for you.
Can I have a chibi dino?
You absolutely can.
I would love one.
Got you. All right.
Oh my God, I had to work hard to just get a
Sorry, I should have offered that
I gave
first.
them shirts. I gave them my presents, and I had to beg for a chibi dino.
All right. Thank you, Howie. It's been a pleasure. See you guys next week. Digital Social Hour. Thanks for tuning in.